Our first Hall of Famer was a consensus selection by our committee. Her induction completes a family circle of sorts. Her step-grandfather, Leo Sack, was a 1979 Hall inductee. So here we are 40 years later, closing the loop, welcoming Chrissy Walaskowski. When she got the call from the Hall, she thought that she had misstated her order to 3471111. It was a different order of business, however. It was to inform her that her outstanding career at St. Ursula was being recognized. Chrissy was immersed in sports early on. With a brother 2 years older and a dad who loved basketball, it was the thing to do in the Donovan household. That's not to say she wasn't surprised by this designation. She says that it is a high honor and is one of a kind and peculiar to Greater Cincinnati. Quoting, "We have something going for us here. This hall is unique and there is nothing like it outside this city. I never imagined that I would be included." And the bonus? She shares the stage with Kyle Rudolph, who has a huge fan, and her son, Donna. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the first member of the 2018 class of inductees to the LaRosa High School Hall of Fame, Chrissy Walaskowski, St. Ursula Academy class of 1995.
Thank you very much. I kind of joked because at our house, it was if someone needed to take a deep breath, anything, Dad was a coach, it was bend your knees and let it roll. So you think of a free throw. So I just thought of it right now. And as I was going into labor with my son, I'm going down the hallway in the wheelchair and the nurses are next to me and Dad just yells, "Bend your knees and let it roll." He's right. I'll roll with him. So first and foremost, I would like to thank Mike and Buddy LaRosa for continuing to support high school sports in the tri-state area. There's no other city like this that has the dedication and loyalty to high school athletes. I'd like to also thank the Hall of Fame committee on my nomination and congratulate all the inductees. It's an honor to be inducted with such a special class. Within 30 minutes of getting that phone call from Mike LaRosa, I noticed my dining room table was full of Notre Dame keepsakes. I yelled to my 12-year-old son, Donovan, and asked him what was going on here. He just shrugged his shoulders and nonchalantly said, "Figured I'd get Kyle's autograph on a few things." I gave him that mom look and I said, "Well, maybe you should call your friend Kyle and get a spot at his table and not mine." Don't worry, Kyle. Donovan turned 13 in June and is already rebelling. He stood us both up for a baseball game today. I will try to do my best to get as serious as I can, but for those that know my husband and I, we're not very good at that. So here it goes. First, I'd like to thank St. Ursula Academy. There is no doubt in my mind I would not have accomplished what I have without the guidance and support SUA offered me, academically and athletically. I could not stand up here and accept this honor without mentioning my coaches at SUA. I was lucky enough to have 3 completely different types of coaches for all 3 sports. In volleyball, I had Julie Perry, who taught me how to be a leader. In basketball, I had Mike Jones and Tim Ballinger, emphasized passion for a sport. And in softball, I had Leo Osterday, who taught me how to be mentally tough. With the help of these coaches and the unbelievable talent level we had at SUA, there was no doubt in my mind I was fully prepared for the next level of play in college. Next, I'd like to thank my family. I figured the perfect time to let my family know about being inducted into the LaRosa's Hall of Fame was Thanksgiving. We're all giving thanks. I had it all played out in my head. I would tell them as we sat down for dinner. Well, I looked to the left and saw my brother, who was just inducted into XU's Hall of Fame for golf this past December. Then I took a look to my right and I saw my husband, who was just inducted into the University of Dayton Hall of Fame a few years ago for basketball. Then I realized, once I tell them, they're both going to look at each other and say, "Well, it took so long, looks like you're a little late to the table." So I just went on eating dinner knowing that the LaRosa's family finally made me normal and accepted again in my family. I credit a majority of my abilities to both my dad and my brother. Growing up, my brother was stuck having me by his side. I mean, come on, who would want a little sister constantly by their side? If Mom signed Tim up for golf, I had to be in that golf league too. If Tim wanted to go shoot hoops up at the gym, I needed to work on my shot too. He was stuck with me, end of story. There were some intense games of horse and wiffle ball in our backyard. I do have to say though, by the time we graduated grade school, we pretty much perfected the famous Grant Hill Christian Leitner pass and shot in our driveway. Thank you, Tim, for being the best sidekick I could ask for. Then there are my parents. Tim Donovan Sr. was a boys basketball and baseball coach at Guardian Angels, our grade school on the east side, for 20 plus years. He also was a high school basketball referee for 25 more years, mainly reffing in the GCL. Kyle, on behalf of my family, I apologize for all the bad calls he made against me. It was towards the end of his career, and I think his eyes were going on him. Dad would always try and teach me the game from not just the coach's eyes, but the referee's eyes. I think I got yelled at more for not fetching the ball for the ref than missing a layup. Not only did he teach me the fundamentals of the game, but I think I knew every rule there was that went along with the game. I do have to say, my defense is still out for the jury to decide, but he always would say, you can't win games unless you score more points than the other team. So we just roll with that philosophy in our house. Thank you, Dad, for all you did along the way. Now on to my mom, Mary Jo. We joke all the time because I was unable to get my driver's license for over a year because I couldn't get to those mandatory driver's ed classes because of my sports schedule, which meant Mary Jo was my taxi driver. Routinely during my junior year, my mom would take me from a St. Ursula softball game to my club volleyball practice and finally grab the last hour of my AAU practice for basketball. Now being in her shoes, getting my kids from one practice is difficult enough, let alone 3 in one night. Mom, you must have really loved me. Mom made our family run, and without her, I would not be able to play as many sports as I did, and I am forever grateful. Finally, I would like to acknowledge my husband Keith and children Lola and Lucy, and I guess I'll give Donovan a little shout out, even though he chose baseball over me. I can't fault him though, I would have done the same thing, and I know he's in good hands with his coach, Rick Bell, who is also a LaRosa's Hall of Famer. I know Keith and crew were not around for my high school career, but I think Leo Osterday and my father probably told them every play and every game that I have been involved in, so they're all caught up. Again, I would like to thank Mike and Buddy LaRosa as well as the entire committee involved in this process. I am humbled and honored to be recognized in this elite group of athletes. Thank you.